Okay, I think we'll look to get started. So first of all, for everyone on the call, thank you very much and welcome to Learn and Redefined. It's Showbie's first ever conference and the focus is to celebrate teaching and learning. I'm Graham Trick, I'm learning specialist here at Showbie. And for those of you who've not met Showbie before, we're the hybrid learning platform. We've got over 3 million users globally, and our aim is to provide richer, deeper, more personalized feedback and assessment to all learners. It's something we've been doing proudly for the last 10 years, and you can find more about us at showbie.com. And I'd like to introduce Jenny Dunne, who's going to be leading this session, and it's going to be based on meeting the needs of special schools. So just before I hand over to Jenny, just like to say, if anybody's got any questions, please put them in the chat. Jenny will be leading the presentation for the next 30 minutes or so, and we're going to have time at the end to answer any questions that come up during the presentation. So thank you very much, Jenny, and it's over to you. Enjoy, everyone.
Morning, everyone. I've got everything crossed at the moment. As I was just explaining to Graham, we've had server issues, and then last night where I live, we had flash floods closing quite a few of the local schools. So I'm hoping this all works and I can take you through the presentation. So I'm just going to share my screen and we shall make a start. Oh, Graham, it's not letting me share now. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I should just get it up. It's vanished. Oh, there we go. That's why, because I left it. Right. Okay. Apologies. It's going to be one of those days, I think. So, hi. As Graham said, I'm Jenny Dunne, and I'm the Executive Director of Learning at Newbridge Multi-Academy Trust. Up in the Northwest. And I'm going to explain a little bit about us and how we've used technology to enhance teaching and learning, and as Graham said, meet the needs of learners with SEND. I'm also going to walk through some of our schools and the way that they use technology and the impact it's had for our pupils, our students, our staff, and our families and stakeholders. Okay, so we are Newbridge Multi-Academy Trust. We've currently got 5 schools and 1 being built. We have a college and post-19 provisions, and we're across 9 sites in Oldham and Tameside. We've currently got 1,000 pupils plus. It's very hard to keep track. We have more and more admissions daily. And all of our young people are aged between 4 and 25 plus, and I can explain a little bit about that later. And they all have SEND needs. We have over 600 amazing staff who work throughout the organisation. So a little bit more about us in detail. There we are in the heart of the Northwest. We have a Newbridge School, which is based across 3 sites, and that caters for learners aged 11 to 19. We have the school site, we have a college, and we have a learning centre. All young people who attend Newbridge have an EHCP, and it's a generic special needs school. So we have young people with profound and multiple learning difficulties, all the way up to young people studying GCSE, and we facilitate and allow them to access learning, and technology has enhanced that. We've got Hollingwood School, that's a school that's for young people with a diagnosis of autism and sometimes a communication need, and that's from age 4 to 19. Again, we have non-verbal young people, again, young people studying GCSEs, and we're going through that process at the moment. That hope, if you are going through it, is a really, really challenging process. So if anyone wants to reach out, we're happy to share and collaborate. We have Springbrook Academy, that's based across 2 sites, and that is a early years Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3 provision for young people who have a diagnosis of social, emotional and mental health needs. But quite often it's not just that, they will have other learning needs identified as well. We've got Hawthorne School, that is our school in Tameside, and that's a primary school. Again, generic special needs school, lots of young people there with overlapping needs and challenges. We have Springboard Project, that is the Key Stage 4-5 provision for young people with SEMH, and that has a really clear focus around a vocational offer and giving young people skills for life. And we have our Meteor Horizons provision, that is for young people aged 19 plus. And that is more of a social care setting based in the heart of Oldham, really allowing the young people to be part of their community. So a few years ago, we pressed the reset button. We were originally just Newbridge School, and we became a MAT, and our school started to join us and become part of the MAT, and we wanted a real clear mission and vision. So we got together with lots of stakeholders, staff, young people, parents, and we really thought about what we were about. And the be all and end all of it is that we want to create meaningful futures, not just for our young people, but for our staff and for our families and stakeholders. And we take it really, really to heart that we want to learn together, learning for all and learning for life. We've got some really, really clear values that any project we undertake. So for instance, going one-to-one, and Graham's aware of this, he was part of the start of the journey. We make sure our values are embedded in every project. And if it's not got these, then we really question why we're doing it. So we collaborate, and we have collaborated with lots of different people around our one-to-one project. We are caring, we are creative, we hope we are inspiring, we think we are, and I hope some of what I say today inspires some of you. We are extremely passionate. Anyone who's worked with us will tell you the passion that oozes from all of our staff about all of our young people. We are innovative, and we trust each other. So I'm just going to show you a little video that captures and maybe gives you an insight into who we are. This was filmed and put together by our digital pathway. There was no fancy recording companies. This has all been done in-house by some of our Key Stage 5 young people. So hopefully that's given you a little insight to some of the amazing young people and staff that I get the pleasure to work with every single day. So we decided we were going to go one-to-one, and we involved other people in that decision. We decided we'd set ourselves a timeline of 18 months to 2 years to become a one-to-one mat, that every young person and every member of staff would have a one-to-one device, and we decided to go with iPads. We had to set ourselves some really clear strategic intents. We had tried it before. We tried it when we were just Newbridge School, and we failed dramatically. And I'm not ashamed to discuss that. And we failed it because we didn't have really clear strategic intents. We'd not brought other people in to advise us and support us. It wasn't a complete failure. Young people were using technology, but it was isolated. It wasn't enhancing the teaching and learning the way that we wanted it to. So we pressed pause, we reflected on it, and then we were ready to go again. And we set some real clear strategic intents, which were to deliver high quality education that equips every child and young person to progress onto an appropriate destination within their local community. So whether that was being part of their community as an adult who needed support from other adults, or whether that was volunteering or working within their community. We wanted to ensure all our children and young people had appropriate access to high quality staff and resources that not only develop their academic skills, but their emotional resilience that supports their health and well-being. We wanted to be flexible in our approach. Needs change all the time, each different cohort of learners. So we had to make this project really, really flexible and be able to respond to need. We also realised one of the mistakes last time was not investing heavily in training and development for our staff. And this has really sort of taken a turn, and we invested lots in training and development for our staff. And I'll talk about how we continue to do that through lockdown. But now we've got staff actually stepping forward and saying, I'll run that training session. Have you seen this? And sharing that practice, and it's become really, really collaborative. So I shall move on. So I was asked to think of a vision for the mat. And this is really what we want. We want to support all of our young people, staff and families in their use of technology, both throughout the learning time with us and to enable them with skills for their future destinations. We were really clear. We didn't just want the technology to enhance classroom teaching and learning. We wanted all of our young people to develop skills that they could take forward into their lives when they go beyond the mat. Each school then came up with their own vision, personalised to the sets of learners that they work with. So we then went one-to-one, and all of our learners do have an iPad, and we do focus on academic and, as I've said before, those life skills. All of our staff are asked to gain their Apple Teacher accreditation, and we support that through training and development. Or if they're happy enough and they want to go off and do it on their own, they are more than welcome. And we've had very different models in different sites and across different sort of skill sets. Some people had never touched an Apple product before we introduced the iPads, and were really, really fearful of this new device coming into their classroom. But some of those people are our best practitioners now in using technology to enhance that teaching and learning. Okay, so our implementation, I talked about before how we set ourselves an 18 months to 2 year deadline. And we were extremely glad we did that, as the last school got their iPads in the December before the first lockdown. And I must say, technology and the competency of our young people and staff certainly made lockdown a lot easier, and the curriculum more accessible for our learners. Lots of people will ask, how do we afford to give over 1,000 young people and 600 staff an iPad? So we did a little bit of digging in this and worked out, and it roughly works out about £83 per year per person to have technology in their hands every single day. And that has offset things like the printing budget, pens, paper, and I'm not saying we don't have pens and paper, they still have their place and are still in every single classroom, but we've actually seen an offset of that £83 in other resources, that we are using the technology as the resource rather than physical resources. We also worked with Jigsaw 24, who helped us to implement this at scale, at pace. I think they were quite shocked at how quickly we wanted to implement it, and realised that we are really passionate, and when we want to do something, we will go ahead and do it. So we then had to create the visions with the school. We had to share this with our staff, with our young people, and with their families. We did curriculum reviews, not to rewrite a curriculum. We looked at the curriculum and how technology could enhance that teaching and learning experience, whether that was through using different platforms, different apps, VR, AR. We looked at how we could bring teaching and learning to life and off the page of a book. I'm just going to show you a clip now from Hollingwood that hopefully will show you how we did that.
Hi, my name's Leah Meadows. This lesson was all about our Norman topic, which is our history topic. We created stop motion videos based on parts of a castle. The kids basically had to recreate one out of Play-Doh using different labels, taking a picture of each frame as they went to describe the different elements of a castle.
Okay guys, so pause there just for a second please.
Okay.
We're just going to have a little talk about where we're up to and which features that we've used. Okay, William's working on the board, so if you could pay attention, William's going to play the stop motion video for us. So can you see everyone how he's got it going through all his different ones? He's got his mop and he's got his key, he's got his drawbridge. We can decrease our speed and that's going to split William's frames even longer.
Today we have used the iPads on an app called Showbie. Showbie is kind of the platform that I've used across curricular subjects. All the work that I want them to do is uploaded onto there. The learning objectives are going on there as well, so they're all self-assessed. It's allowing me to send their work to them, but it also allows them to send it back to me. I can track each week where they're up to. I can mark, leave voice notes, write on the document, send it back to them immediately, and they can then create their next steps, and that advances their learning.
Ellie, on your Showbie now, I forwarded you some feedback, Ellie. So can you please go to Showbie and respond back to my feedback?
Okay, so that was a history lesson brought to life there. Oh, sorry, I shall pause, clicked the wrong one. Just really to go through there, some of the points Leanne was making around that student impact. And I will say it several times, no doubt, throughout this, in one of the biggest impacts we've seen is being able to leave voice recorded feedback. The young people hear that feedback and be able to respond back to their teacher. Also being able to send that work to young people and then being able to send it back has allowed young people to be more independent, but also to ask for help in a way that's not putting your hand up in the middle of a class and feeling embarrassed because you've not understood something. Just being able to send that to your teacher really discreetly has helped some of our young people who may have found that difficult to ask for help before. And we've all got those learners in our classes who will sit there and struggle quietly. This has really opened that up for them. So student impact, we've seen increased motivation in students. We are a special needs provision, and we do have some young people who've had really difficult and challenging experiences at school prior to being with us, and they don't want to be in school. They don't want to come to school because of those past experiences, and the technology has increased their motivation to be in school and engagement in lessons where we've perhaps taken away some of those barriers that they've experienced before. We've got high confidence levels with the use of technology. And I must say, there are several times where the young people's confidence levels are higher than the teachers. And it's been lovely to see that the classroom is not just that traditional, a teacher at the front and the young people being taught. Sometimes the teacher has the subject specialism and the young people have the skills with the technology. And when they're allowed to go and explore how to present something, they will blow the minds of the staff and then absolutely love and revel telling staff how they've done it and showing staff how to do things that they perhaps weren't aware of. And sometimes staff will play to that and pretend they don't know, because it makes that a learning environment, not a traditional teacher-student environment. Opportunities for collaboration. So one of our fears, or a fear of some people, were that the iPads would isolate young people into just them and their iPad. And that is absolutely not what we've seen. We've seen collaboration, and also young people are accepting that peer feedback much more, and they're more open to it because it's airdropped to the screen, and there's discussion and support around that. Organizational benefits, it makes us really organized. The young people love that they just need an iPad. They don't need a rucksack of everything else that they have to carry around. Teachers have also found it helps them to organize and structure. We have had to, with some students, stop putting work on before the lesson because they will go on and complete it just because it's there. So yeah, we learned that one the hard way when a few young people were turning up and they'd already completed the lesson because it was in Showbie. They'd been on and done that. So we worked through that. Efficiency in completing tasks, as Leanne alluded to there, that instant feedback and being able to respond to that meant it is more efficient in the classroom. So self-directed and extended learning opportunities. The young people absolutely love being able to have freedom in how they present their work and how they do their work, and not just the standard everyone in a book and we're doing it this way. It's given them much more freedom than they've had before, and we've certainly seen that advance some young people's skills, not only with the technology but in the curriculum area they're working. Okay, so I've just got a few quotes here. So the iPad allows me to work with my peers to complete tasks and solve problems. And it is so lovely seeing this happen in the classroom. They did it before with books, but I don't know, there's just a different feel to it, more collaborative, and the young people are really engaged in that collaboration and that peer feedback process. Staff say that feedback and marking is more meaningful and accessible. So I'm sure lots of you have gone through the process of bringing books home, writing feedback. You go in the next day, the young person reads it or doesn't read it. So we're just talking there about feedback being more meaningful, and I think Leanne alluded to that in the video, but it certainly is working for our young people, being able to hear that feedback from your teacher without having to read a comment at the bottom of a page and find where that I need to make that alteration or that improvement to my work. We just tag it into where it needs to go, and it certainly has helped that. I am going to talk about lockdown now. There is a reason I'm going to talk about lockdown, and I know we've all had enough of it, but it'll become apparent in why I've put a bit about lockdown in this presentation. Okay. So, before I do that, apologies, I have another video from Hollingwood that I will just show you because it links into what we were saying before. So I'll just show you that.
We did a list of adjectives yesterday. We did our list of our timeline yesterday. So we've got everything that we need to write now a book review. So we'll look at the board there. This is the document that I'm going to send to you via Showbie. Does anybody need a demonstration of how to do it? We're all happy. Okay, that's gone to you now. So the aim of today's lesson was to write a book review on Warhorse by Michael Moore-Purgell. We used the Showbie app to deliver the work to the students. The students then carry out the work. They will send the work to me. I can then mark the work and send a response back to the students.
So I like Showbie because I can get marks straight away by my teacher.
Also during the session I can use Apple Classroom, which allows me to watch while the students are doing their work, and I can advise the students while they're actually working, reminding them of vocab, grammar, sentences, punctuation, things like that. Finn, capitals for countries please. See on the board, you put England and Germany.
I think Showbie's really good because, like, our teacher, he can send the work to us, and then we can do our work and send it back. And I think other schools should use it because it's just great education for kids.
Once all the students had been marked, we then all got together at the front. We used Apple to mirror the students' work onto the board. We sat down and then we discussed and critiqued each person's piece of work. Who wants to show the work first? Topthorne is the same as Joey, and Albert is a good teacher because he taught Joey how to come to Albert when he wants to, and Albert taught Joey to plough. Anything else we could add about the main characters, do you think? How could you change that, Lucas?
You could add some more adjectives instead of just Joey is very pretty and shiny, Topthorne is like Joey, and Albert is very good teacher.
Okay, so what Lucas is saying there, instead of saying how they look, more about their characters, more character adjectives. So how would you, Lucas, describe Joey? Just one adjective from you, please. Courageous. One adjective. Brave. One from you, Liv.
Steady. You could also put like a comma after the horse.
Yeah.
So it's the horse comma.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Are you going to do that, Don?
because when you've just got an normal sentence, then also it goes very capitalised on it. Seems like say.
Okay, she's used.
I went.
I just try to make it.
Yeah, she's used it for
kind of weird.
emphasis. Okay. Right. All right.
Trying to make it weird.
That's fine. That's fine. Don't worry. I think that's just Olivia's style of writing. I think she likes to write that way. We found that since we've been working with Showbie, which is probably 9 or 10 months now, the whole atmosphere in the classroom has changed. The children are more focused using Showbie because it's on iPads. There's a tendency for everybody to be quite calm and sit there, and they're keen to do the work on the iPads because it's using another piece of technology.
Okay, I will just move on to the next one. Just in reflection of that small group of young people have lots of barriers to learning, and work and corrections and feedback are a huge challenge in accessing any learning at all. And those young people are so engaged, and their academic abilities have hugely developed, as well as their skills to be able to listen to others, to give critical feedback and constructive feedback. And as Dougie said, it's really changed the environment for those young people in our nurture group. They also have so much fun using the technology in setting up CSI crime scenes where things have been stolen, and and it's just really engaged the learners back into school and back into that learning can be fun, and also what the purpose of that learning is. Okay, so I mentioned before around sudden lockdown, and nobody could have anticipated this time last year when we were put into a sudden lockdown. So we felt we were in a good place because we were a one-to-one, Matt. iPads were embedded. Some of our schools, as I said before, only got them the December before the lockdown in March, but young people had started to access learning that way, and staff had training. We had hundreds of teachers with the Apple Teacher status, and we had established on-site learning using technology. So when lockdown happened, and I'm sure you are all aware, the first lockdown, we were locked down. Then in the other lockdowns, SEN provisions stayed open, but quite a lot of our families chose to keep their children at home with the technology, as the learning that was happening in the classroom was exactly the same as the learning that their young person, their child, would experience at home. And we did that via Showbie, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay, so we went from on-site learning to distance learning. I know it's been called blended learning, hybrid learning. So we had a mixture. The first lockdown, everyone was at home, so we got iPads home, and we were faced with a few challenges. And then during the other lockdowns, we had, I'll take an average. Some schools had 70% in, 30% home. Some schools had 30% in, 70% at home. And that was through family choice or through the health and medical reasons of the young people. So some of the challenges we had, and this is really where I will talk about Showbie, is the safeguarding of young people. So lots of schools around us were using either Zoom or Teams, which are absolutely amazing platforms and allow people to do what they need to do. But the challenge for us was around the safety of those platforms for our young people. So we had a techie team in the background working with some curriculum staff, looking at how we could do live lessons safely, and so that we were in control and the young people didn't have access to their peers or to staff 24/7. So we worked with Showbie, and all of our schools then were using Showbie Pro to do live lessons, and this proved to be the safest way and the best way for us to allow all of our learners to access those live lessons or video recordings of live lessons. And there are loads of resources out there, and we did direct some of our young people to other sites to look at pre-recorded lessons, but we found the best engagement for our young people was when it was their staff delivering their curriculum. We had staff who recorded morning routines, we had staff who recorded attention autism, so that it was on the iPad for them to use with their families to use with their child at the convenient point in their day. And families really welcomed that. We had families who said it had helped them see a different side to their child and actually allowed them to see the amazing work our staff do in a classroom, and they were trying to implement some of that at home for engagement in family activities. So real positive feedback. We also had a challenge of parental capabilities. I spoke before about how some of the young people have got better skills than some of our staff. We also found a lot of our parents didn't have the skills on the iPad or with the platforms or the apps we were using. Some of our young people could delete apps really easily, and parents that didn't know how to put them back on. Our staff were amazing, and they spent so long on phone calls home, talking parents through that if they were supporting their young person. We created guides for parents that were just the side of A4, not really thick manuals, and we supported every family where they wanted that to allow the technology to work at home for young people to access their learning. health and well-being, we had so much fun as a staff team with our young people, but then also staff set up their own little Showbie groups with mental health well-being activities. We had bake-offs, sunflower growing competitions, book reviews, film reviews, sharing recipes. So again, that health and well-being, the technology allowed staff to feel connected not only to the children in their class, but also to the staff around them, and also across the mat. So staff in different schools were joining one Showbie group and sharing all these great ideas. And at the end of a long day, when you've been in lockdown, it really, really did lift the spirits of some of our staff. Staff training. I talked before about investment into staff training. We needed to be able to continue to train our staff to make sure their skills were up to date on the platforms and the apps we were using. So we did that virtually, and everyone having an iPad allowed us to do that and continuously develop and also respond to needs. If staff were struggling or they were just thinking of different ways to access, say, maths or English or ideas, we were able to just put on little training sessions, which we did upload to our own YouTube. Okay, so I've spoken a little bit about this, so I'll just whiz through this. So we've got our smooth wall filter, and we needed to make sure that worked whilst young people were at home as well. Safeguarding, I've spoken about safeguarding, and we did look at Microsoft Teams and Zoom. We went with Microsoft Teams for staff, and all staff have got Teams within Teams, and that's how we work. But for the young people, it was Showbie, and the main reason was that we could really, really control that and ensure our young people were as safe as they possibly could be during lockdown. We had a mobile device management self-service, which was pushed out to all the iPads, which meant if in a maths lesson you needed to use a specific app, so Maths Ninja, it was pushed out and it was in the self-service, and young people could download that onto their iPad and then do the learning as the teacher had directed them to. I'm not going to show you this one. It's around the impact of technology during a lockdown. I'm just really, really conscious of time, but if people want to see that, I am happy to share that at a later date.
When it was
Okay, so with health and well-being, these are the kind of things we did and shared with people. Contact details, this was around our staff and guides, and again this was all done digitally. And the first one was very much the exec team were coming together and senior leaders and pushing it out. It soon became the staff that were creating the content of these, and it was really, really lovely to feel connected to everybody, even though we weren't able to be all together all of the time. We set competitions for our young people, fun and learning, and as you can see here, little these competitions went across the mat, so they weren't just in one school, and the young people absolutely loved doing them, and somehow they didn't realize they were learning new skills and practicing new skills, and that was an issue for some of our young people, especially our young people with autism, in that school is school and home is home. So we had to be creative in how could we engage them in learning to continue to develop those English, those math skills, the skills of history, of technology, without it being presented as traditional work that we all know. And this worked. We did lots of these and had really, really good responses from our young people. We were meant to last summer do We Will Rock You as a map production, and we weren't able to, so we did it virtually, and staff and young people recorded clips, and we put this together and shared it with everybody. It wasn't quite the big shows and productions we're used to, but it certainly allowed us to be connected and to have a bit of fun during a time where maybe there wasn't. I've talked there about staff training, and we've produced a remote learning guide for staff. Again, we made sure it was 2 sides of A4, nothing more. People already had enough to do without going through lots and lots of other reading materials. We developed our own YouTube channel on Microsoft Stream, which again allows us to record those clips and for staff to go back to them when or if they need to. Again, really, really popular with staff, and we actually found staff uploading their own sort of how-to guides rather than it always being the same people delivering training and relying on external people to support us with that. We had a training and development team who worked across all of the sites, and we regularly had Apple Aid sessions via Teams. Okay. I'm just going to show you a clip now. This is a product of lockdown. One of our primary schools has completely changed the way that they access reading, and this did come about because of lockdown. And this story always brings a tear to my heart, because I know this young man and I know his frustrations, and it's just paramount to the amazing staff, how creative they are, how technology has enhanced that accessibility to reading, and the impact it's had on Bradley.
Hi, I'm Michelle Shortall and I work at Springbrook Lower. I'm one of the TAs here. We use our iPads every day. They've been really good. I think they've opened up our curriculum to our kids. They make it a lot easier for some of them to access the learning. So one of our pupils in my class in particular is Bradley. Coming into our school when he couldn't read at all, he's come in, we've got him on the reading scheme of Rising Stars. He's working his way through the books and he's reading really well. So what we found with Bradley is using the speech to text feature on the iPad really worked. It meant that he didn't have to try and write down the words first. He could just speak it to the iPad, it would type it for him, and then as his confidence grew, he started to type more and use the speech less. And we found that now it's just really improved his confidence.
Hi, I'm Bradley and I've been at Springbrook for nearly a year. When I first started here, I could only read my name, and from that year to this day, I can read my math homework very good. I've been reading books and I'm super good at it now.
Bradley always gets my heart. It's just amazing to see how it's improved his access to everything and his confidence that has grown. So moving forward, we are lockdown and the situation we are has completely excelled our use of the iPad. So we're reviewing that in all of our schools in where do we go next. And one piece of work that we're really passionate about is some of our profound and multiple learning difficulty young people in how they access that, and we're working with ACE. Again, a lot of that work has been done remotely, but how do we get the best out of technology for those young people to enhance their experiences in school, to access more and more of the curriculum. We are going to continue to use the iPads. We still have a couple of young people who are not back in school due to health reasons, and they are still accessing a full curriculum at home, the same offer as the young people in school via Showbie. And that's really, really powerful that they can virtually be in the classroom with their peers and have conversations and discussions and not be isolated at home. We've certainly used them when young people have had to isolate and they're in their GCSE year. We've done mocks using the iPads to be invigilators in collaboration with parents, so that we're able to support those young people to achieve the best they can achieve in their GCSEs. I've said before around working with other agencies, and something else that we're really keen to explore is actually, can technology be a way we can support some of our local mainstream schools with some of the challenges they are finding with young people with an identified or unidentified learning need. So a blended approach, we're certainly going to continue doing that. And if anyone wants to know how or where we're up to with that, I'm more than happy to have conversations with you. I'm hoping that I've captured most of it throughout this. But if anyone wants more detail, please do get in touch. And I'll be happy to either have a Teams call or a discussion over email. We're always welcome collaboration. So that's me done, Graham. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Jenny. I love hearing the story and where you've come as an organisation. It's absolutely fantastic. There's a few questions that have come through. So first one came through from Aaron asking, did you look at any other devices other than iPad? And actually, what was it about the iPad that made you choose it to fit in with your strategic vision? So
yeah,
two easy ones to start with.
Yeah, we did look at other devices, and Graham, you were part of our initial journey in exploring those, and it certainly wasn't everybody in school was an Apple were going that way. We did have Battle of the Wills, and we tested different devices. But I think the key factor for us was the accessibility and the ease and the transportability of an iPad. But also we did a bit of research with our young people, and most of them had iPhones or were used to Apple technology. And we also looked at some of the places where our young people go for work experience, and Apple technology was there as well. So it's a real passion that the skills we develop in school can be applied outside of school in life situations. So I would say that was probably the factor that swung it more for us. We just overall young people were using Apple products more than anything else on the market.
Yeah, and I know you're Graham, the CEO. He's really he's blown away with the accessibility options as well, wasn't he? So that's played in quite nicely. There was a question came through from Craig, and it was around about the filtering. Did you extend the smooth wall, or was it did you provide guidance for parents around their home setup?
We provided advice for parents, certainly, and there were guides, and they were followed up by phone calls. And as you recall, throughout the lockdown, certain things popped up, and we would quickly circulate that with families. With regards to extending the smooth wall, I think so, but I don't know, because that was the techies who did that bit. So I honestly don't know around extending the smooth wall, but I do know we supported families in ensuring their setup at home was as safe as it possibly could be. But if you want to know that, if you drop me an email, I can ask our techies to respond to that. As Graham knows, I'm great in the classroom. When it comes to the techie bit, I let the experts do that.
And that's very much my approach. I'm bells and whistles, and leave other people to the nuts and bolts to make us look good. That's for sure. There was one other question came through, and it was around the use of the Showbie platform. So did you use real-time live lessons, or as well as pre-recorded, or was it one or the other?
Both. So we had some pre-recorded lessons, and that was really to accommodate families' needs. Families had to work from home as well, so we listened to our families, and some said pre-recorded will work better. We also had live lessons, but the most successful thing was, and it was quite often on a Friday, each class would have an open sort of Friday afternoon where the young people from that class could join. They'd do virtual quizzes, bingo, chat with their peers, and that worked really well when some of the young people were in school and some were at home shielding, or families had chosen it was safe for them to be at home. Just being able to do that in a really safe environment where teachers and TAs could really monitor the conversation and what was happening was really successful, and it actually helped some young people overcome their fears of coming back into school, because they could see the classroom, it was normal as it was when they left it, albeit COVID restrictions in place. They could see their peers, they could see it was the same staff and the same building. So it was a mixture, and it was more what the needs of the young people and families were we went with.
Yeah, and it was just one question from me, because it's one thing I've never actually asked you in all the meetings that we've had. What do the parents think of Showbie, and how did they take to it in terms of it being used?
Yeah, some of them needed some support in how to access it and support. Some young people didn't let their parents anywhere near their iPad because it was their work and they were doing it. And as long as they were getting good feedback and we weren't phoning home saying what's going on, it was like, stay out of it, mum and dad, or whoever's at home. But parents really, once they got their head around how to use it, and some could already, they were very literate in the use of the technology, really liked it. And I think as well that they could send us messages if they needed to via their child's Showbie account. So overall, really positive feedback.
Excellent. So there's no other questions have come through. So thank you very much for giving up your first thing on a Monday morning. Because known with floods and servers, you'll be getting pulled in all kinds of directions today. So I would like to thank everybody for joining us. And the next session up is looking at ways that we use the English class technology in the English classroom, and that's going to be run by Andy Brady at 10 o'clock. If you're interested and you want to meet some of the team, we've also got a networking event on at the end of the day. So please feel free to sign up with the staff room. I'll be there later on, and I'm really happy to talk all things Showbie, EdTech, and just get to know everyone who's joining us this week. So once again, thank you very much, Jenny, I suppose enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, please don't hesitate to get my details off Graham. More than happy to collaborate with people. Thanks very much, Graham.